Hey, what's going on, Archons? Welcome to the spoiler edition of my channel, which I don't think I've ever done before. I'm not sure I've ever spoiled cards before and talked about them, but Winds of Exchange providing a new house and getting to see some things here, I think is warranting having a look here. So what you can see now is we got obviously this token here, which has destroyed draw a card, which I think makes sense. We've seen a lack of the cycling and efficiency with logos rotating out, and so I think we're going to see Ekwidons adopt that to a degree. I have a feeling we're going to see this efficiency stat in a similar way we saw Unfathomable take on the disruption factor in the game. It's not quite identical, but it's going to provide it in different ways. They're going to make a unique playing experience when they're part of your house composition. So we also have Arbitrage here, which says your keys cost +1 during your draw steps. Refill your hand to one additional card. Kind of interesting. The other ones here you can't see too hard, but it says reap, discard a card from your hand, draw a card. I imagine something like that. I can't read these other ones here. So we're just seeing, I'm just looking of how this is starting to shape up. This is the one here that I think is interesting. We had quite a discussion on the Help from Future Self Discord about this card. It says your opponent draws a card, steal one. If you do and your opponent still has more Ember than you, trigger this effect again. So, well, that's like last ditch stealing, and it comes in the form of bait and switch. So we're also seeing the shadows aspect come in the Ekwidon. So are they like a hybrid logo shadows sort of house moving in, which is quite interesting. And this is that total risk reward sort of thing, because you may give your opponent something good. On the flip side of this, I'm going to state this right now, and I did so in our channel, that I think we will see the Ekwidons have a draw punishment. Like every time your opponent draws a card, X something happens. I think we're going to see it. I'm calling it right now. So here we have some more stuff. It says choose a card in your discard pile, steal one, steal equal to the number of bonus icons, and put that card back in its owner's hand. So we're going to see a lot of exchanges of stuff here, which is interesting. So it's not as straightforward stuff as we've seen. Like it seems like it's stealing with a cost. Winds of Exchange, it seems that there will be an exchange to get the effects. This one here says action, steal one for something enemy artifact, probably for each enemy artifact. So that's interesting. Non-token creatures gain, make a token creature, I guess is what that says. It's really hard to decide based on this, but it's giving some idea of what we're seeing. Okay, and here we go. Here's some of the ones we really want to see. You may also have known that on the Ghost Galaxy website, it shows the cards having this kind of Brobnarish beige background, but on all these cards we're seeing here, which look like actual printed cards, they're on this kind of very light teal, which I'm hoping is the direction they go, because it matches obviously this up here, and I just think it would be great. So Corner of the Market says during your opponent's next turn they cannot play cards, and each time they discard a card from their hand they make a token creature. Again, like these are things I think that when you think about it on the surface, it is not as straightforward as you would expect. Things must be considered. You cannot just play this card. What if they gain boons from tokens? At the same time, not being able to play any cards can give you a potential board advantage depending on what the house they choose to play cards from. I mean, it's quite an interesting thing, and I'm excited for this. Like, I think we're going to see a very polarizing feeling towards Ekwidon. Some people are going to love it in the way that it just creates such a different Keyforge playing experience, and I think other people are going to hate that, and the fact that your opponents, like, it's not as easy as some other houses have done. there is a cost to everything. So this looks like enhance, and it gives you 5 pips. I'm guessing it says cannot play cursed relic or choose something from your hand. So that's interesting. And this looks like a key to dis here. Can't read all of these. It says look at something in your opponent's hand. Opponent 1 if you... Okay, so that's an artifact, so that's interesting. You continuously use it. Here's some more artifacts. I think artifacts are going to be really interesting. This looks like it says buggy over here. So pretty much the point of me just rambling on here is not necessarily to go into something deep. It is to start seeing the composition of what Ekwidons are going to look like. And it looks very much like their mercantile qualities are really coming through. Everything comes with a price, comes with a cost, you might say. And I'm finding that very interesting. I'm excited to see how this plays. It's very different from what exists in Keyforge. You can see that they're taking on some traits that the other houses that we no longer see are going to have, and not having, I believe, what is it, Untamed Shadows and Logos as well as Dis because of the last set. It's going to be a very different composition for Keyforge, and I'm very excited for it. I'm loving the look of these cards. I'm really enjoying the way that we're seeing both the art and the flavor coming through, and I just think we're in for a treat and a very different style of play in Keyforge. Now, on the flip side of this, when we see something like this go against previous sets where there's original houses exist and do things that are very classic and done in a very powerful way, that's going to be the true test, I think, of how people will rate the Ekwidons and how they do things and how they fit into the realm of Keyforge, because we always have that original aspect to consider and we'll always have that comparison. So as great as this is going to be in a sealed context, it is still yet to be seen, of course, how this will shape up in the grand scheme of the game as a whole. But from an insular set versus another deck in the same set, I think this is going to be a really fun and new, exciting way to enjoy the game. So we're gonna have to stay tuned for that. And if you guys like me doing these spoiler discussions and giving my 2 cents on how things are coming together, please let me know, and I'll do more of these as more content becomes available. Also, one thing that I think will always be the case when we're looking at spoiled cards is the composition of how we will see these cards show up in a deck. It's obviously great to come up with theoretical combinations, the way the cards could come for a set and seem really good, but how they actually end up being distributed within a deck and you see what the true commons are is going to really give us an idea of how this set plays, because theoretically a set or a house within a set as a whole looks very different to how it gets end up being distributed within a deck and the limits of what can show up. So let's all think about this, take some time to brew about this, and I'll get at you with my next episode of different things. This is not a key thoughts. So this is, well, I guess it kind of is a key thoughts, but these are key spoilers. We're seeing what's going on and my thoughts on these spoilers, but there will be a key thoughts to follow this. So I hope you all enjoyed this, and as always, may your ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.